And we're live once again on another Tuesday. And it's just a fun day because I have a Canadian in the house. Woohoo! And you guys get to guess how many times you get to guess our accents. Because if we both say about,
About.
about. So that's how you tell a Canadian. You say, ask them to say about. So, anyways, this is what we're talking about today, connecting on LinkedIn with words and visuals. And I have Paula Goodman in the house today. So, Paula, before we get stuck in, why don't you just go ahead and quickly say who you are and what you do, so that if there's anybody who doesn't know you, which is like, I don't think there could be anybody on LinkedIn that doesn't know the Jedi Poetess, but please just introduce yourself quickly and we'll start chatting.
All right. Thank you, Jillian. I'm so excited to be here. Like finally, oh my gosh. And I'm Paula Goodman, and the Paula Gail Goodman. Goodman is just a name. It's still there. But the Paula G is for Paula Gail. That's what I was born with, Paula G. So that's just some clarity there. But anyway, I'm a writer. I'm here on LinkedIn, and I started a couple of years ago being active and sending out some words of encouragement for help after being in a dark place and having this reconstruction of my life and wondering what my new mission would be. And it's kind of like, here I am. I was kind of told by this voice in my head, it's time to share. I left the corporate world and here I am. And basically I did not come here as the word Jedi poetess. I just came as myself. And everybody bestowed what I am today. It was through the people and interacting and engagement that helped me find a place here too that accepted me. So I gave it a little shot, and here I am. I'm the result of what people have brought to my life as well.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you're about people. I love that you're about words. And it's very interesting. I'm about books. I love to read, but I also love to journal. And I have found all my life that, well, I wish I could write poetry. I can't, but I can at least do a word dump out of my head onto the page. And I was actually doing morning pages this morning, and I was thinking of you as I was doing my morning pages, because I haven't done morning pages for a long time. And for anybody that doesn't know, that is literally a brain dump out of your head. It's Julia Cameron's The Way, where you just write for 20 minutes and you don't censor, and it's not for anybody, and it's not necessarily a journal. It's a brain dump. And I was thinking to myself how healing this is. And that when you're not writing, you're not thinking. And when you're not thinking, you're probably not breathing. It's amazing, the power of the word. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's like you're either reading or you're writing, but those are ways to heal for anybody that, especially this time of year. You posted a post. You posted a post. That sounds stupid. But anyways, you did a poem the other day, and it called to me because I thought there's a lot of people that have pain at this time of year. It's the happiest time of the year, December and the holidays, and happy holidays. But I actually know a lot of people that the holidays is not a good time for. They've got stuff going on in their family. Maybe they've lost some people. They're missing their loved ones. And this is a time of year where not everybody's happy. And your poem that you published was like, it was very moving. It was very moving. And so I just love, yay, everything you do. I just think you're the example of someone who feels inspired to write something. You put it out there, and it's like you just kind of throw it out on the wind. It's like feathers, and wherever it's going to float to and get to and help those people, I just think it's amazing. And who'd have thought LinkedIn, so I have to ask you, why LinkedIn? Like, what, people would have said, oh, you're going to do, writing and poetry. Why wouldn't that be
it was a leap
or
it was a leap of faith. Like I've been on LinkedIn for a long time, even when I was in the corporate world, and I didn't really speak about anything. I just kind of got a lot of resources, and it wasn't seen as a social platform that it is now. And at the time, a lot of my writing, I've been writing my whole life, and I just never shared or anything. It was just a private part of me. I might have given somebody a poem, but I really enjoyed the cathartic experience of writing. And
Mm,
a lot of the time in life when I was in pain, I wrote to myself. I wrote my feelings.
mm,
And little did I know that all along, when you have a mission in life and you're not aware of it, it sits there until you finally, like you fall down flat in your face. And that's where you find your power, your reason for being. It's not
mm,
about like letting the outside world convince you of who you're supposed to be. It's about discovering who you already are and then putting that into some kind of action, because everybody's given a gift. And I think some of the gifts that we wonder about, oh, they have to be just as huge like somebody else's, or maybe I need to be famous. It's not. The gift that you have when you interact with other people, it could be just a smile to a stranger, and just knowing that the connection that you make with other people, even if you've had children, that's your reason right there. You don't have to worry about anything else, or putting the pressure on you from outside society of telling you what success is, because you're already a success. The idea that you're actually born out of 400 trillion possibilities is amazing. Like, think about it. Life is a miracle already, and everybody is a miracle, and life is going to be hitting you hard in the face, and what we're born into is the circumstances that we're in, and we gather from those experiences, right? So my experiences weren't always that great, and I went through one hardship after another, but I didn't know the most important thing was to love myself and that I had value. And being in an
mm,
abusive relationship, a narcissistic relationship, anything like that, it was one thing after another. Like, life just kind of just counts on you, and you do. And I honestly, I compared to the moment of when I didn't want to be here, I did not want to live. And the attempts I've made, and the fact that I'm still here. But there is a possibility that it's not that bad, because when it's mental health, what you think about yourself, your own sense of worth. And if you're not given that from the beginning, where are you going to find it? And to
yeah,
me, it was kind of like I left the corporate world because I was in a harassment suit and stuff like that. I was in, yeah, I left a marriage. I left the city that I was in. Everything was starting over. And I was at, like, you think it's tough when they say, like, it gets harder. You have to crash and burn. You think this is bad, it's going to get worse. And you're like, what? How can it get worse than this? But it does. But the thing is, it can turn around. And that's the moment of hope. If you don't have any hope in your life or anything to hold on to, when the mind leaves, your body follows. So
mm,
mental health is something that you have to have first and foremost. And that was my moment of epiphany, and giving it, like, I had an argument with the universe, and the universe to me is my creator, my God. And I said, you know what? I'm doing a crappy job. And I basically, it's not like I had to pray and be all nice and everything like that. It was like I yelled at God. I said, you know what? I'm effing it up. I can't do this. I seriously, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm on the ground. I cannot do this. I'm giving it back to you. A moment of faith. I gave it. I had to believe. And I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to worry about the future anymore. I don't care, because they didn't care. What else did I have left?
yeah,
So, but giving it to somebody else who I believed was my creator, it's like, you know what? You're going to take care of me because you made me. And it slowly gets better. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to trust the process. And then I met, and that was in this, like the spring of 2019. And I wasn't active on LinkedIn. And I left the corporate world, and things started to look better. And I'm just like, you know what? What am I going to do? I asked the universe again, what am I going to do? And the words were loud and clear in my head. It's time to share. And I knew exactly what it meant. Oh my God, am I writing? What? And I always had this thing in my head, like, I dated everything. I knew as a kid somebody else is going to read this after me. I don't know where I got that idea from, but that dates were important. I had to know when I wrote it, and I just threw it in a box. That's it. And I was like, oh crap, I got to share that one. how am I gonna, like, where am I gonna share this with other people? I need them to know that it's going to be okay. My story is meant to help them. Everything I had gone through had to have a reason. And I'm like, sure as hell, like, I don't want anybody to go through anything that I went through. And
Right.
the poetry just kind of just exasperated. It kind of just blew up. It's like, don't worry, you got this. Just go out there, and this is what we're gonna do. And the word was right there, LinkedIn. I'm like, LinkedIn? Are you kidding me? I seriously, when I'm looking at LinkedIn, I'm like, this is for job seek. And then, but when I was on LinkedIn and I'm reading, I'm like, it wasn't about finding a job anymore. It was about helping those who are feeling desperate and lost, and the souls out there. Oh my God, these people need a pat on the back. They need help and encouragement. Let them know what I went through and give them some kind of hope or something like that.
Mm.
And so I just started just making posts of encouragement. I was always in my job too, when I'm managing other people or anything like that, it had to put positive words to use. How do I make something negative into something positive? Because there's always something good to find. And when you highlight that, everything else becomes less. And you
Mm.
just focus on the one little thing, and then you celebrate that. And those steps get easier to take, right? And when you know you're not alone, like it's like when you know somebody has your back, you can
Yeah.
do it, right? And that's all it was meant, as an inspirational words to help others. And then it slowly became something. And I'm like, there's no poetry on LinkedIn. And now I see it all over the place. And it's like, oh my God, like, wow. And
Interesting.
but at first I was kind of like, are you kidding me? LinkedIn? And when I started doing it, people were coming. People were responding. People were sending me notes. People were encouraging me. And the whole idea of inspiration is you don't have to go looking for it. It's there. Other people inspire other people,
That's
just by
true.
sharing. When you share
That's true.
something, it's an inspiration. And that's it. You just take it from there. And I just kind of gave faith to God. I'm like, okay, in the morning, like when you're talking about the brain dump, whatever, like I would be like, okay, so what am I writing now? What do I feel? Right away, what do I feel? And I just write. And it's the most inspirational thing when you start writing to your own self. We're less likely to lie to ourselves. We are more honest with ourselves. And you can take that. You don't have to share it. But when you read it over and over again, it inspires you in different ways because your perspective always changes. I wake up and I'm not the same person. I'm a different version of an old person every single day
I
because
love
I learned differently. Yeah. And
I
it's like,
love
okay,
that.
we're getting old. But I am a different version of me. I'm an old person yesterday. That person doesn't exist. That was yesterday. Right. And I'm
That's
not going
true.
to worry about what's coming ahead because I don't know how much time I have left, but I want to make the most out of it. And if I can, my sole purpose is to share with other people. And like I said, like social media, and then I started posting everywhere else. It came into a website or whatever. And, like it's like, that was my affirmation. Keep going, keep going. And that's what happened. So anyway.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the interesting thing is you could have written, you could have shared, and it could have just gone, eh, like, everybody could have just said, well, that's sweet, and scrolled on by. But
Right.
obviously it called to people because you have hundreds of followers. So and I don't even like to call them followers because
No,
I don't think they're not that almost sounds like a disservice because you have a community of people that your words touch that have all raised their hand that said, I want to make sure I do the next one. And I love, one of the things, I just love everything about you. I just really do. I'm just such a fan, such a fan. And it's not just because you're Canadian, although I do love the Canadian side of you. And it's funny because it's like, I've been to the Burlington, Hamilton area, so I know where you live. So it's kind of cool. Not personally, but I know the area. So it's kind of fun. But
no.
the
I think
nice
that's
thing,
the first things I recognized about you. I'm like, oh my God, because when I came on LinkedIn, like there was hardly any Canadians. I couldn't find
I know.
any Canadian. I'm like, hi, you're from Canada. Let's connect. You know, right? Because it's an international platform. But I was like, every time the stats came out, I'm like, where the heck is Canada?
Right,
You know,
right. And when we connected, I was in Israel, so you just
yeah,
had to say, "Okay, I really do believe that she's Canadian. She's just
I know.
living in Israel."
Now I need
Now
to
I'm
collect
living.
their passports.
I know. Just it's crazy. It's crazy. But one of the things that I think is remarkable is that even though you have this large community on LinkedIn, you can still take the time to connect. So you're not just outbound. You're not just, putting out your posts and, you get all the likes and the comments and you're like the queen, you're just waving. It's like you get in there, you thank people, you respond to people. You make us feel seen that when
That's
we
the whole
tell
point.
your words matter,
Yeah.
it's a two-way conversation. And
Right.
I think that's remarkable that you can have such a large community and yet you make a point of being a human being and not an influencer. And
Right.
that's
I have trouble with the word influencer because honestly, we're all influencers of each other. Anybody you meet or come across, whether you like them or not, they're influencing you. But the most important influencer is how you feel about yourself.
yeah.
But the whole important, like, and I got my background is customer service and management there. It's like, you know what, if you don't make people feel welcome, they're not going to come back.
No.
And I honestly felt, like, hello, goodbye. Like if I got the front light on and you come in and I don't welcome you or offer you a drink, you're not going to want to stay or come back, right? Be the
No.
first. But that's important to me because honestly, in not feeling any value, you want to exit life.
Yeah.
That's the way I related to it. So it's kind of like, how do I, these words to me were important. They'll land in the laps of people who really need them. It's not for me. I've never asked people to follow me. I've never
No.
asked people. I'm not comfortable with tagging. I don't tag. I started LinkedIn thinking I had to tag because everybody else was. I'm like, no, I don't need to do this. And I just dropped that. Now it's kind of categorizing. I still like, okay, whatever. But uh, yeah, we're following each other, but you got to follow yourself first. And I feel bad because the higher the interaction happens, and I get the most interaction on LinkedIn, and that's why LinkedIn is my home base. And I
I love it.
do everywhere else. Like my morning, it's not just on LinkedIn. I pop it everywhere else, and I almost feel bad because half those places are a dump and run.
Right.
Because it's not as great interaction, honestly. You'll go to your DMs and Facebook and they're like, what? Where do you live? I want to date you. And you're like, ugh, bye. See ya. This will find somebody else, but I feel compelled to let it be seen. And that's when the whole idea of the vision comes into it too, because I partnered everything. Like I used to be into collaging, but it's an evolution too. Like what actually gets people's attention? Because when I wrote too, not only am I writing words, but those words were from visions in my head. And I'd have scenes play, or sometimes it's like writer's music. I have lyrics that I write too. And there's a song, there's a tune, and my soul is happy. Like, how can I let this out? Because, when you connect with the soul, oh my God, it's enlightening. And
Oh,
things don't matter, people do. And that's what I wanted to do, was just reach the souls of other people. Because you know what? Your soul isn't alone. We're all connected to one great source of light. And that's all I wanted to do, was keep that light on. Because mine almost went out. But
that's huge. That's huge. And it's, to me, it's kind of like we just finished the holiday of Hanukkah on Sunday.
yes.
And on when we light our Hanukkah candles, we take a helper candle, which is kind of cool. It's the
Yeah.
shamash or shamish, and you use it to light. You light that one first, and then you light all the other candles. And that's what you do with your poetry. You're the helper candle, lighting the light of everyone else, so that we all shine together. It's
Yeah.
just
And honestly, like, all credit to me. Like, people say you're gifted, you're talented. Well, yeah, that was my gift. That's the only thing that I feel that I have right now that is important, because nothing else that I thought was important is important. Things don't matter. Like, stuff doesn't matter. What I had that I can't pay for, my own life, a roof over my head, clothes on my back. I had a lot to be grateful for when I thought I had nothing. And those little things made a big difference. The attitude of gratitude is just like, you think somebody, when the idea of gratitude comes, people are like, what are you grateful for? And I remember like, okay, it feels kind of stupid to write down, I'm grateful to have a bed. But there's
Yeah,
people
but
out there.
it's true.
Exactly. There's people that don't have a warm bed, right? And
Exactly.
it's always somebody worse off than me. And but you get to this point where you're like, you know what? When I'm the happiest me, there's nobody better off than me because I only live with me. And at the
Exactly.
end of the day, I get to lie down my head and then go through that gratitude. And it's being grateful for what I have and not what I don't. I'm not chasing anything anymore. I'm living the dream that I want to be in. I don't want to, like the dream is unfolding. It was already there. And all credit goes to God. And I always say that, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here. It's his gift. He gives us a gift. And if you don't share it, it's not going to last. So
I
that's
love it.
it's part people inspire you in return. And the conversations that happen inside the comments is where the magic happens. It's like, oh my gosh. And like even if they pick up the words and they say, I like this sentence or something, it's like, oh my God, that meant me. And here's the magic too. It's like out with poetry and creativity, you give a visual and some words that are from the heart. Everybody's interpretation is different because everybody's experience is different and no two lives are alike. And like that one I did the other day about the card deal, that was something I wrote a couple of years ago. I'm like, no, it's time to put that one out again. And I just add a different picture and I like to play, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Every hand, the possibility, the probability, no two hands are alike.
Mm.
So I love getting the feedback on what it means to somebody else because everybody has their own story that they're in and how they interpret it means, wow, I get inspired.
Yep.
But the
And
visuals, I love playing with
yeah.
visuals. They change. I'll rotate a poem, make a few edits and change a visual and I see how it happens. Like it's like, oh, I'm getting better at this, or I'm going to try this. And I experiment. I experiment a lot in order for it to get the reach for people's hearts. It's not for greed or popularity or anything like that. It's because I know people are out there that need it. And what
Yep.
I'm finding though, I'm like, oh my God, the whole idea of like so many people talking, I can't keep up. It's like, and I feel bad. So I don't post every day anymore. I take a day off in between. And sometimes it's to do something in life away from social media because that's important to me now because it's so demanding. It can be demanding. You got to realize, you know what? I control where I go, what I do, and how I do it. I don't owe
Yep.
anybody anything, but I am here to share. And that's it. Like there's no time limit to adding poetry out there.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So I see we have some comments. So let's engage. So we've got our lovely Jeff Young, who loves us both. He loves us both, and he was so excited. So, yeah. Jillian Whitney, a Google goddess, Paula Goodman, a Jedi poetess, together in one place. Two of my favorite people. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. We have the lovely Kevin Turner. We're ready in Dallas to be inspired and sparked by two of the kindest, most creative people on in. Paula Goodman, Jillian Whitney, keep rocking it. Woohoo! We've got John Aspiri. We're just pulling all the big guns today. Oh my gosh. Good to see you both. Good to see you both. Just love John. Kevin again, I'm inspired. That's good. We've got paraphrasing a 70. Hey, Paula. I always
I want to marry you. Hey. My parents used to wake me up out of bed to go hear that song.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Teachers, I'd walk in the classroom, they'd go through the class list. Now, hey, Paula. I'm like, oh my God.
See, there's no songs for Jillian. Just like I'm out of luck. There are no songs for me at all. At all. Thank you, all of you, Bam. Like you. Wonderful. Wonderful. What a lovely analogy, lighting other people's lights within. And it's so true. It's so true. And I think one of the things about social media and your poetry, Paula, is the antithesis of this, is that it's very, very easy to get on social media and feel less than, because we're scrolling through and we're like, people are, not bragging, but they're showing us their best selves. So you look at it and you go, oh, that person must have like all the money, all the fame, all the fortune, they're gorgeous. They have a, perfect marriage, perfect home, perfect this, perfect that. And then we just start feeling less than, less than, less than. But people, we have to remember social media, most of us are showing our best self, and you don't see all the garbage that's going on, behind the scenes. And I think that your poetry makes us realize, a lot of us have stuff, a lot of us have things we're struggling with, and it's okay to not have everything together. It's okay. We're not alone. We're not alone in this.
No, we're not. Life, there is no such thing as perfection. If you're going to change, and happiness is not something to get after you acquire something. Happiness, there will always be something to acquire. If you're going to be comparing yourself to everybody else, you got to remember social media is controlled by, I'm telling, a lot of people are posting what they want you to see. That's not what's
Right.
happening behind the scenes. We're all different. Like being on camera is a big influencer. It's a factor in how you behave because other people are seeing you. When people know they're being observed, and a lot of the world is under scrutiny, Big Brother, right? It's like, do you remember somebody's watching you? If you act like somebody's watching you all the time, it influences your behavior. But when you're behind closed doors and when you're writing, you're actually like, you're going to be who you are. And then you're going to revise that. And then you can look at it 2 days from now. It'll be different. You can look at it 5 years from now. I look at things 30 years ago and I'm like, I wrote this? What? But these are messages to you. You don't always understand what you write down, but when you dump out the mind, it's just dumping out what you're dealing with as a human. Yes. But when you later, and you've got the voice of reason in your head, when you visit your truth, it's like, wow, it's eye-opening, but we're not alone. We're not alone. And that's the thing. A lot of us feel alone. And you brought up before, it's like that time of year, Christmas is a time, like the season or whatever. We're cooped up in winter, some of us. The weather keeps us in. There's no sunshine. The things that make us happy. It's like, well, really, memories are just in here. And when you go through life, your perspective on how you're feeling in the moment will affect what you're thinking about in the past. But if you let go of the things that tie you down, then you can go forward. Forgiveness is the biggest key that I found was able to make me propel forward. Because once I forgive myself, it's okay to feel. I'm allowed to feel. It's experience. Life, we're born with all these emotions we don't know what to do with. And life is learning how to handle those emotions. And other people are telling us right away what to do. And really, it has nothing to do with what works for them, because everybody has a different formula of what works for them. And it's just kind of fighting your way, right? And then accepting yourself for who you are and letting your emotions, let them be. Let them be.
So this is Jane. She's a fellow Canadian out in BC, and she's always got a gorgeous view. She's always looking at the ocean, and it's just like, oh, I miss that. I miss that. Oh, hey, late to the party. I agree. We can feel less if we don't realize every one of us has stuff, and it's okay. That is so true. That is just so true.
When you realize everyone has a story, it's different. What their intention is becomes something else.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And, it's interesting how you were talking about how you change. When I went to Israel, I took all of my journals and I took all of my morning pages for years. I have been journaling since I was, I think, 20. I was journaling before that, but I don't have those. And I date everything. Like I'm like that. That's why I laughed when you said you put a date, because I do the same thing. And it's amazing to go back and read something you wrote, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because you're just like, I know that's me, but I don't know her anymore. That's a different me. So it's familiar and it brings everything back. And it's just like, oh yeah, I remember when I used to fight with my mother about that, and now my mother's gone and, all those different things. But you just go, but that's not me anymore. That's like, me when I was like this, and a whole different perspective in the world. So the introspection you can get through your own writing is phenomenal.
It really is. And it's like letters to the universe. It's letters from your heart. You're having this interview with your soul. And it's just like sometimes it's too hard for us mortals to understand. And you visit it later with a little bit more wisdom. And you're like, now I know what that means. But every day it can
Yes.
mean something else because we're changing. The open mind is the most kind. Right?
Yes. Yes. So we have Tina joining us from Belgium. Now,
Hi, Tina.
Tina is amazing, Paula, because she does these little drawings, these little sketch notes, and she will probably do one for us today because she watches these LinkedIn lives and she pulls away. It's her way of listening. She sketches as she's listening, and then she comes up with these visuals, and her visuals are just amazing. So she's just so cute. So wait for the follow-up because no pressure, Tina. But I'm sure she's going to send us a lovely sketch of what she got from our conversation, which is kind of the whole theme of what we're talking about today, about connecting people with your words, with your visuals. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So Paula, we're down to 30 minutes, so we have to stop. I think we could go on for hours.
Oh my gosh.
We could absolutely go on for hours and hours, but I always try to keep these at 30 minutes. So we'll sign off here and we'll tackle the rest in the comments. But it was just absolutely so special and wonderful talking with you today. And I think it's just appropriate that this is the first LinkedIn Live I'm doing in December. And we're talking about being human, showing up here on LinkedIn with all your human self, and just, kind of think of it as like, we'll talk about Christmas, that it's like you buy Christmas presents, even though I'm Jewish, we'll talk about Christmas, but you buy presents to give a gift to others. And I think our words, our visuals, our creativity, these are the gifts that you want to get. You wouldn't want to hoard them. You wouldn't go out and get your shopping and keep all your gifts. You give them away, right?
Your time is a precious gift. I mean, like there's a lot, I think I wrote about that too last week or something, but it's like, I don't really want to spend time buying something that somebody doesn't need. I'd rather do something or make something for them. But your time, the time you put into something, you can't replace yourself, but thank you for your time. And it's been such a pleasure being here. Oh my gosh. Flew by.
It was awesome. It did fly by. So thank you everyone for joining us today. This has just been absolutely awesome. And thanks, Paula, for being here. We'll be back next week with another LinkedIn Live, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye.